Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We're reading from Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-Lila, chapter 7, text 113. Chedananda tenhotan rasthana parivar tanre kahe prakrita satvera vikar. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is full of spiritual potencies. Therefore, His body, name, fame, and entourage are all spiritual. The Mayavadi philosopher, due to ignorance, says that these are all merely transformations of the material mode of goodness. So we say God is omnipotent. God is omnipotent. So God's potencies are spiritual because God is spiritual. God is not material. So because God is spiritual, His potencies are spiritual. So everything about Him is spiritual. His name is spiritual. His form is spiritual. His abode, where He lives, His residence, is spiritual. His entourage, His associates, the people who are associating with Him, they are all spiritual. All spiritual. It's only out of ignorance one says that God is material. God is a transformation of the mode of goodness, or God's name is material, is just in the mode of goodness, or that God's form is material, is just in the mode of goodness. This is ignorance because God is spiritual. He's not material. In the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has classified His energies in 2 distinct divisions, namely Prakrita and Aprakrita, or Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. So Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, knowledge of the Absolute. In knowledge of the Absolute, Krishna is telling Arjuna that, listen, my dear Arjuna, I'm explaining to you because God has many, many potencies. He's omnipotent. But for our easy understanding, they are broadly divided into material and spiritual, Prakrita and Aprakrita, Paraprakriti or Aparaprakriti, material or spiritual. In the Vishnu Puran, the same distinction is made. The Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand these 2 prakritis or natures, material and spiritual. But one who's actually intelligent can understand them. If we say everything is material, then we are thinking, I myself, I'm material too. But that's not the case. I'm not material. We can experience. We are different from the matter. We can see our bodies changing, but we don't feel different at all. Because we are spiritual. Time does not act on the spirit soul. Time only acts on matter. Considering the many varieties and activities in material nature, why should the Mayavadi philosophers deny the spiritual varieties of the spiritual world? There is spiritual variety. There is variety in spiritual world. There are different types of, there are different spiritual forms in the spiritual world, and all the Vedas are speaking about them. Now, if we go about and say, no, it's not true, I don't agree to it, does it mean that it's going to change the truth? Does it mean that just because I don't believe there is variety in the spiritual world, the true variety in the spiritual world will cease to exist? Who am I? What does my belief or my faith, what's the value of my belief? Or what's the value of my imagination? It does not in any way affect the fact or the truth. The Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 2, Text 32 says, Ye anye Rivindaksha Vimuktamaninas Tvai Asta Bhavad Avashuddha Buddhayaha. The intelligence of those who think themselves liberated but have no information of the spiritual world is not yet clear. So I may imagine I'm liberated. Nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me. I imagine I'm liberated. Aham Brahmasmi. I'm already on the Brahman platform. And I may be able to even convince a few people around me that I'm liberated. But it does not make me liberated. My just saying to people I'm liberated and convincing people that I'm liberated does not actually make me liberated. The truth is still I'm here in the material world, very much under the clutches of the modes of nature. In this verse, the term Avishuddha Buddhaya refers to unclean intelligence. Due to unclean intelligence or a poor fund of knowledge, the Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand the distinction between material and spiritual varieties. Therefore, they cannot even think of spiritual varieties because they take it for granted that all variety is material. Now, if I make up my mind and I say, no, if you speak about form, if you speak about person, if you speak about individuality, it's all material. All this does not exist in the spiritual world. Then I'm just closing myself off to the spiritual world. That's it. Because all the authorities, all the Shastras, all the scriptures are speaking about the kingdom of God and the variety over there. But if I myself shut myself off from it, who am I harming is myself and those handful of people who are going to follow me. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore explains in this verse that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Absolute Truth, has a spiritual body that is distinct from material bodies. And thus his name, abode, entourage, and qualities are all spiritual. So we may say, oh, body means material. No, but there is spiritual body. God has a spiritual body. Then we may say quality means material. No, there are spiritual qualities. We may say name, but name means material. I'm using a material tongue to vibrate and my ear is material, so the sound is material. But there is spiritual sound too. How can some reflection exist without the original object? If we stand in front of the mirror, whatever ornaments we are putting on our body, that will be in our reflection of the mirror. If we don't have them, they won't be in the reflection. But the very fact that the reflection exists means the reality exists. So the reality is the spiritual world. There is spiritual name, there is spiritual abode, there is spiritual qualities, everything. We are spirit souls. So we have a spiritual name, we have a spiritual form, we have spiritual qualities, we have spiritual activities. When we go back to the spiritual world, we will be engaged in spiritual activities. The material mode of goodness has nothing to do with spiritual varieties. So there is no tinge of material goodness in the spiritual world. It's all pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva. It's called Vasudev Sattva, pure goodness. Therefore, they imagine a negation of the material world to be the spiritual world. Simply negation of something does not give us information. If I say, no, this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Okay, but what am I supposed to do? Please kindly tell me. Simply by saying, not this, not this, not this, our minds are going to get bewildered. Why? Because our minds always are looking for some positive thing. So, okay, what do I have to do? If you're saying it's not this, not this, not this, then what is it? Their answer is, it is spiritual. That is the clear thing. Not simply say, no, not this, not this, not this. It just creates confusion in the minds of the people. The material qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance cannot act in the spiritual world, which is therefore called nirguna, as clearly indicated in the Bhagavad Gita, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. So the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. This is how this entire world is being controlled. Material nature is controlling us by these modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. They are the ropes which are binding us here to the material world. But this goodness, passion, and ignorance don't exist in the material world. In the spiritual world. They don't exist. In the spiritual world is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat, eternal. Chit, all knowledge. Ananda, all bliss. So good Tamogun, Rajogun, and Sattvagun, they have no jurisdiction. They have no visa entry to enter in the spiritual world. So that's the reason the spiritual world is called Nirguna, because it is none of these gunas of the material world. Guna is the rope, it's like this tight binding. The material world is a manifestation of the three modes of material nature, but one has to become free from these modes to come to the spiritual world, where their influence is completely absent. So when we say liberated, what does liberation mean? Liberation means being freed from these three modes of material nature, being free from goodness, passion, and ignorance. That is liberation. And where do we go? We go to the spiritual world, where there are so many spiritual planets. In the Vaikuntha world, Vaikuntha is the spiritual world. There's so many planets. And the highest planet of them all is called Golok Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna personally resides. Now Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will disassociate Lord Shiva from Mayavadi philosophy in the following verse. So Lord Chaitanya is giving the proper knowledge to these sannyasis in Varanasi. Any questions or comments? No, then we'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Caitanya Caritamrita Ki Jai, Shilpa Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.